Welcome, founders. Today, we're acting as your strategic advisors to deliver a deep dive explainer on some truly fascinating source material. This is going to completely shift how you look at your business and, more importantly, your personal value. We're going to explore the architecture of a high-authority brand, and we'll look closely at the exact step-by-step materials you need to build real, sustainable wealth through actual skill mastery.
But before we map out the solution, let's define the exact reasons so many of you are feeling completely burned out right now. You're paying what we call the shortcut tax. This is that utter exhaustion and the very real financial drain caused by endlessly chasing marketing magic pills. You know, the kinds of hacks that promise a six-figure weekend while you sleep, all while completely neglecting your actual craft. You're looking for a way around the hard work, and frankly, it's costing you everything.
So here's our architectural plan for today's explainer. 1. The hidden shortcut tax. 2. Analyzing the hollow investment. 3. The mastery compounding protocol. 4. Building your sovereign empire. And 5. The strategic competence choice.
Okay, let's jump right into section 1, the hidden shortcut tax and the truly high cost of the magic pill. You know, there is a massive modern founder's dilemma that's holding so many talented people back. Too many folks are heavily focused on the what of wealth, the flashy sports cars, the revenue screenshots, the ultimate destination, without ever focusing on the how. They want those massive results without the tedious repetition. But the truth is, real wealth works because it's built on a foundation of mastery. It's entirely about those boring reps that literally nobody sees. When you focus on the money first, you become desperate. You start relying on marketing hacks over actual service delivery, and you take shortcuts that deeply compromise your long-term potential. You're basically trying to skip the practice and the study required to be truly indispensable.
Moving right along to section 2, analyzing the hollow investment and the technical disconnect.
There is this huge technical disconnect holding founders back, and there's a fascinating micro-story from our source material that captures it perfectly. The author spent a ton of time looking for the quote-unquote perfect investment that would make them rich overnight. They were glued to charts, chasing wild speculation, trying to skip the part where they actually got good at what they do. But the massive pivot happened when they realized their earning potential was directly tied to their capability depth. They stopped staring at charts and started looking at their own hands. They realized the disconnect wasn't their capital or their portfolio, it was their severe lack of hands-on, refined capability.
Well, there's a highly practical progression to fix that exact disconnect. During a period when the author's business was really struggling, they initially looked for a quick marketing hack to save them. But they quickly had a profound realization. The real problem was that their actual delivery process just wasn't as good as it needed to be. So they took a radical step. Actually, scratch that. It was a completely terrifying step for a founder. They stopped marketing entirely. They spent months just practicing, refining their process, and deepening their knowledge. And when they finally went back to the market, the response was night and day. They didn't need a hack. They just needed to be better. Which leads us directly to this absolute golden rule. Competence is the only currency that never loses its value over time. Think about it. Markets crash, algorithms completely change, and trends will eventually die. But your skills? Those will always remain. It's a truth that absolutely guarantees your internal assets will outlast any external market crash.
All right, let's get into section 3, the mastery compounding protocol and the math of long-term wealth.
So when we actually put this protocol into action, year 1 is all about intense focus. You commit to mastering just one high-value skill. As you move into year 2, something beautiful happens. The compounding effect of a skill takes over. The more you know, the easier it is to learn more. So your baseline of competence naturally rises. By year 3, your baseline of income automatically follows that mastery. Wealth is simply the score that follows the mastery of the game. The long game is always won by the most capable person in the room.
Listen, there is literally only one math rule that matters for this kind of long-term wealth. Just one. It is not about being the absolute best in the world today. It's simply about being better today than you were yesterday. If you increase your value by mastering the skills that others are just too lazy to learn, that daily increment of 1 compounds into an absolutely insurmountable advantage. Which brings us to section 4, building your sovereign empire, because you simply cannot build on average skill.
You absolutely cannot build a sovereign empire on an average skill foundation. We are looking at two very different paths here. Just think about the stark contrast in focus. A sovereign empire prioritizes long-term capability and learning over earning. whereas an average foundation is built on frantic speculation and a desperate need to earn first. This directly impacts your status in the market. Deep capability makes you indispensable. Rushing? Well, that just makes you easily replaced. If you want to be wealthy, you have to be willing to be a student for much longer than you are a master.
Every single rep you take is a brick in your empire. Seriously, don't rush the build. Focus intensely on the quality of the brick. Social wealth isn't something you just catch off a lucky viral post. It is painstakingly built, brick by brick, through the constant, unyielding refinement of your craft. You've got to stop looking for the magic pill. The magic is in the work.
Finally, Section 5, the strategic competence choice and the only logical path forward.
I want you to really sit with a difficult question for a moment. If you lost literally everything tomorrow, do your current skills have the power to bring it all back? We often view wealth as a destination, but as we've seen throughout this explainer, it's actually just a reflection of your current level of capability. If your bank accounts went to absolute zero, could your own hands, your own mind, and your own refined processes rebuild it all from scratch? Because if the answer is no, then you are standing on a very fragile foundation.
And that is exactly why your only logical path forward is to invest in your capability before you invest in anything else. Skills are the assets that pay dividends for a lifetime, and they can never be stolen from you. The source material for today's explainer provides a crystal-clear pathway for this through 365 Freedom. If you are exhausted by the shortcut tax and you're finally ready to trade frantic speculation for strategic competence, taking that step to join 365 Freedom is the logical choice outlined in our research today. So the final thought I will leave you with is this. Are you going to keep chasing the magic pill, or are you finally ready to start laying down the bricks?